Welcome to another episode of Ask Daily Stoic. You send me, Ryan Holiday, questions to info@dailystoic, and then we answer them. Your pressing thoughts, questions, concerns about this ancient philosophy that we both love. Today's first question is from Terry. He said, I love the control how you play message. That's something we talk about from Marcus Aurelius and Seneca and Epictetus. You don't control what happens, you control how you respond. All that an athlete, a politician, a leader, thinker controls is how they play the game. They don't control what the game does to them or what other people are doing inside the game. So he says, I recognize that I believe I control more than I actually do. I think I can fix things. I think I can influence others' behaviors. We talk about how to recognize what is or isn't in your control. I mean, this is the million-dollar question, and I think the Stoics are pretty black and white. They're like, you control this, you don't control that. The truth is there is stuff that's kind of in the middle, right? Like, I control the book that I write, but I don't control how many copies it sells, except there are decisions, choices, actions that I take that influence how likely it is to sell. Like, certainly by not doing anything, I am increasing the chances of it not selling. Or there's a person back there who's making a bunch of noise out on the street. So I don't control that, but I could go tell them to stop, right? We have some influence, but not complete influence. And so I think acknowledging that there is some gray area is important. Really, I think what the Stoics are talking about is just making sure you're focusing on and you're not tying your identity up in things that are not up to you. That's sort of how I take it in my life. So there's things I control, there's things I don't control, and there's things where I'm understanding that I have influence, but I can direct them, but I can't ultimately control them. All right, so Jim says that there are 52 weeks in a year and that he's thinking about implementing one voluntary discomfort strategy each week. What are some strategies to intentionally go about practicing voluntary discomfort for mental discipline? Well, first off, I love this idea. I think this is great. We might even steal it. This could actually be like a Daily Stoic project at some point. But the idea of testing yourself, pushing your boundaries, getting outside your comfort zone on a regular sort of systematic basis is going to make you a tougher, stronger, more resilient person. One of the reasons I love endurance sports, why I love running and why it's part of my routine is like, it has toughened me up to the point where like, I don't have to worry about whether I can handle difficult things. I experience it enough on a daily basis that I know that I push through, that I know that I'm not a quitter because I've been at points in a totally arbitrary, meaningless activity where everything in my body made me want to stop doing it, and I had the willpower to keep going. I think that's what endurance sports, whether it's running or swimming or biking or whatever, that's what it's training you to do. Murakami, the novelist, he's a distance runner. He says like running is both a metaphor and an activity, and the metaphor is like you're teaching yourself that you can persevere. So, I mean, cold showers would be a great thing to do. Quitting things, giving things up would be a great voluntary discomfort activity. Doing things that make you feel self-conscious or embarrassed. Doing things in a new way. I think about David Epstein, and he talked about the velvet rut, the rut of competence. Like when you get in a comfort zone and everything's exactly how you want it, that's a comfortable place to be, but not a place that's making you grow. You grow when you are outside of that. So I think what I'd be thinking about as I'm coming up with these activities is like, am I just subjecting myself to pain for the sake of feeling pain? No, it's, am I learning? Am I getting better? Am I strengthening my power of will over myself? Because that's why we're doing this. The whole point of it is to improve and increase your willpower, your ability to make your mind will your body to do something it wouldn't naturally be inclined to do, or sometimes to make your mind think about something that it is not naturally inclined to do. That's the whole point of this. So think about that. Is it actually adding a skill set or giving you confidence in your ability to do something? That's what matters. Hey everyone, today's podcast sponsor is GoMacro. I love these bars. I actually usually eat them when I am flying. I throw them in my backpack and eat them. It's a mother-daughter owned vegan protein bar. I'm obviously on the road a lot. That's why I like these. What I'm trying not to do is eat crappy airport food. So I throw a couple of these GoMacro protein bars in my bag when I'm on the road. There are 16 great flavors. oatmeal chocolate chip, blueberry cashew. I like the peanut butter one the most. GoMacro is owned by a mother-daughter team. They're based in a rural community like me, out in the middle of nowhere. And the other benefit of eating these is that not only are you helping a small community family-owned business, and it says here on the bar, your purchase of this bar will help feed the homeless. So I think GoMacro bars are great. Highly recommend you try them. Get started today. You can go to www.gomacro.com and you can use the promo code STOIC for 30% off plus free shipping for a limited time. That's gomacro.com, promo code STOIC. Justin says, what do you think of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and how it relates to being a Stoic? Also, how can I further my studies on Stoicism? Are there any camps, training facilities, whatever? So I actually was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I was riding Obstacles the Way. I lived in New Orleans and I would go to an awesome, I think it's called NOLA BJJ. I even thanked my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu professor at the end of it. I haven't done it in quite some time. I sort of got away from the training. I've just been busy and I found that I still wanted to run or swim every day and I just don't have the time to do multiple hour-long exercise activities. So I think there's a ton of parallels between Stoicism and wrestling. Marcus Aurelius uses the metaphor of Stoicism and philosophy being similar to the approach of a boxer or a pancretist, which was an early form of mixed martial arts in the Roman Empire. So there's lots of interesting overlaps you can see. Clearly, the Stoics were so familiar with wrestling and fighting, it sort of permeates their writing in the way that football analogies might appear in a politician's speeches. As far as like training in Stoicism, I think Stoicism is something that you train yourself in by the reading you do, watching these videos or listening to this podcast, that's one. Reading the books, like how was Marcus Aurelius training in philosophy? Well, one, he had a philosophy instructor. His name is Junius Rusticus. He thanks him at the front of Meditations. You can look at that, and he's someone I profile in Lives of the Stoics. So he had a philosophy teacher. He was doing his reading in philosophy, but then he was regularly writing and discoursing with himself and with others about Stoicism. That's what Meditations is. That's what Seneca's Letters of a Stoic are. Cato would have long dinner parties where he would talk about philosophy. So I don't think there's like a school that you go to, but it is something you have to actively build a practice of in your life. The only other thing, and not to make it too much of a sales pitch, but we did build this program, Daily Stoic Life, which you can check out at dailystoiclife.com. We did, sensing that people wanted to train with each other, they wanted to talk to each other, they wanted, the Daily Stoic email 7 days a week, they wanted access to other stuff, they wanted our courses for free. All that kind of stuff you can get if you sign up for Daily Stoic. So that's where I'd start. But I think this impulse you have to take your training to the next level is really great and should be encouraged. I think one interesting part of Stoicism is that, or philosophy, is this isn't something someone can give you. There isn't just a place that you show up. It's more of an inward-facing practice that you have to build. It's a routine you develop in your life. That's where this is going to come from. Hey everyone, I'm sitting here talking to you in a pair of sweatpants and slippers from this week's sponsor, Mack Weldon. They're super comfortable. They look awesome. It was really easy to find them when I was shopping online on their store, and it's actually hard not to find something you won't like. Mack Weldon believes in smart design, premium fabrics, and simple shopping. I was a first-time buyer. I love what I got. So check it out. They have other great stuff. They have a line of silver antimicrobial shirts and underwear that eliminate odor. These are basics that look good. They're super resilient. You can wear them to the gym, on a date, to work, wherever. There's a great return policy. If you don't like even their underwear, you can keep it for free, but I think you'll like them. For 20% off your first order, you can go to mackweldon.com. That's MACKWELDON, mackweldon.com, and you can enter promo code STOIC. That's mackweldon.com, enter promo code STOIC. So I wanted to do a little reading. This is a passage from Twyla Tharp, who wrote an amazing book called The Creative Habit, and I quote it in Stillness is the Key. And I thought I'd read that passage and then maybe riff on it a little bit. She has this exercise. She says, sit in a room and let your thoughts go where they will. Do this for 1 minute. Work up to 10 minutes a day of this mindless mental wandering. Then start paying attention to your thoughts to see if a word or a goal materializes. If it doesn't, extend the exercise to 11 minutes, then 12, then 13, until you find a length of time you need to ensure that something interesting will come to mind. The Gaelic phrase for this state of mind is quietness without loneliness. I think people seem to kind of like magically, they want ideas to just come to them. They want to have epiphanies. They want to, figure out what their passion is, what they want to do in life, but they're not actually creating the space or time in their lives for that to happen. So have you ever just sat with a piece of paper and written out ideas? Have you ever actually just talked into a microphone? Have you sat in front of a blank Word document and you have to create time and space for your mind to wander and explore and figure out what's important to you. We're so busy, we're so active, we have so many inputs coming at us all the time that we really don't have any room for that. And then we wonder why we don't feel creative, why we don't have ideas. But other people seem to be such fountains of inspiration and creativity, and we're not. You have to actively carve out that space for you in your life. And that requires in some ways more discipline than being busy and active, right? To say, no, I'm just gonna sit here and look out the window. I'm not gonna put headphones in. I'm not gonna turn on the TV. I'm not gonna pick up a book, right? I'm not gonna answer email. I'm just gonna do nothing. I'm gonna do nothing deliberately and consciously and intentionally, and I'm gonna do it for the uncertain payoff of insights or creativity. It's hard to do, but I think more important than ever. And that's kind of what the idea of stillness is the key is really about. And I think Twyla Tharp's book, The Creative Habit, is a great resource for anyone looking to explore that. So great question, Terry, Jim, and Justin. Really appreciate it. If you guys have more questions, you can email us at info@dailystoic.com. These don't just have to be questions about Stoicism. These can be specific questions. They can be advice you want in your life about specific problems. Whatever you want, email us info@dailystoic.com, and we will see you next week. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, obviously, or you can listen to this on our podcast or get our email at dailystoic.com. Hey, thanks for watching Daily Stoic. If you want to learn more about Stoicism, you can check out some of our other videos here. Subscribe, we'd really appreciate it. Keep learning, keep studying, and remember those 4 Stoic virtues: courage, justice, temperance, and wisdom.